Breaking news. Welcome to today's headlines. As Ipob ESN fulfills a troubling prophecy on Nigerian southeast. As Ipob ESN fulfills a troubling prophecy on Nigerian southeast. To my dear listeners from wherever you're listening from, please stay tuned as I read today's news. It is now beyond debate. All is not well with Nigerian southeast region. Activities of certain, yet suspectedly disparate armed groups have unsettled security arrangement in the formerly peaceful region. The cracks have always been there. Rachel's conclusion of the otherwise peaceful EndSARS protest was only a marked announcement of a season of harvest. To be sure, unknown gunmen, like many other armed ideological groups before it, initially you enjoyed the support of a significant percentage of the masses. Federal government precipitately helped reaction to herdsmen terrorism. An often unspoken yet palpable fear of domination, strong feeling of marginalization, aloofness of Southeast political elite, and other issues watered the ground for mass acceptance of any group that was supposedly fighting for the people's freedom. Expectedly, not all Southerners fell for the eloquent, often acerbic, but decidedly efficient media justification of the pursuit of a desired future. Nigeria's federal government has to respond one way or the other to the uncouth charges of unfair treatment and a pronounced unwillingness to continue with the union. The federal government had better options. It could genuinely attempt to make sense of the deep-seated feelings which prompted what looks like a brazen demand. Nigerian's metaphoric sick child, it appears, has asked for the wrong medication, and the mother decides to either strangulate or let them die of sickness because his demand was unwise. If you think of it, the child is not any less sick because he asked for the wrong medication. Well, that is the exact way agitations work. Their specific method may be rash, but their pains, hunger, aspirations, and resultant demands come from very deep and often irrepressible sources. The federal government had only one job: to understand those deeper demands and to find civilized satisfaction for them. Or better still, to reason with the sick child and then provide him the right medication, led by a retired soldier who has a Civil War experience under his belt. Nigeria made almost no attempt to look beyond the rash manifestations of the indigenous people of Biafra Ipob and get to the deeper impulses which inspire them. The federal government instead deployed the full levers of the state to torture those impulses, shooting at them, disappearing them, enacting laws, making judicial pronouncements, and lifting it heavy hand against them, doing everything but sifting carefully to understand them. No one's previously recorded insight on matters like this could have offered Nigerians policy makes better value than the immutable Walter Lipsman's. Yet, when government was asked to handle the question, it had for wisdom an ancient conception of itself as a policeman. Its only method was to forbid to prosecute, to jail in short, to use the taboo. But experience has shown that the taboo will not solve mortal and social questions, that 9 times out of 10 it aggravates the disease. Political action becomes a petty, futile, mainly to intrusion when its only method is prosecution. Nigeria's federal government did not apply itself to this wisdom. Of all the tools in its governance arsenal, it chose to call up the one which seemed most convenient yet had more damning consequences. By opting for fire and brimstone, Nigeria's federal government presented itself as an organization which speaks mostly in the language of brute force. Current situation in the southeast is nothing but the crude reaction of some citizens attempting to speak to their government in the only language the government is perceived to understand. As the federal government rounded up separatists and tried to forcefully shut them up, it inadvertently armed them with a practical instead of a rhetorical argument against the government. Any careful analyst can quite easily plot a straight line graph from the point of federal government response to separatist agitations in the southeast to present day occurrences in the region. Since the federal government proscribed Ipob and designated it a terrorist organization, certain armed groups have emerged, appearing to be in a haste to justify the new tag and fulfill that troubling prophecy. Today, Nnamdi Kanu and Ipob Eastern Security Network (ESN) is squarely in the place the federal government wants it to be. This writer is pretty much convinced